Hey, this is Joseph with Conscious Collective, and I've decided to start a new series called The Practice of the Week. So every week, I'm going to be creating a new practice, something that can help us to come back to ourselves, come back to our bodies, our breath, the present moment, and really just to find some more peace, calm, and balance within ourselves. So these will be practices in mindfulness, practices in meditation, and different things that we can utilize to stay centered, to stay balanced, to stay conscious and aware, and not to fall into mental patterns, emotional turmoil, and to just create some inner space, some peace within ourselves. So that's the intention behind the series, is to focus on new practices, and they'll mostly be in this realm of mindfulness and meditation, because really this is foundational for inner peace. Mindfulness has a lot of different definitions, but essentially it's being aware of the present moment as it is without judgment. So paying attention to the present moment without judgment. Just recognizing the experience that we're having right here and now without overlaying our judgments, our beliefs, our opinions, our complaints, the different stories and narratives that our minds create. So often our mind is reacting, labeling, projecting some kind of idea onto the present moment, and then that is creating inner stress and anxiety and fear and disturbance, or anger, whatever it may be. Often it's not the actual present moment experience that we're having, but it's how we are relating to it, how we're thinking about it, how we are projecting our thoughts onto our present moment experience that creates this inner misery and unhappiness. So when we are mindful, we have some spaciousness within ourselves where we can recognize the mental patterns that are arising within us, and we can see them as just mental patterns. So instead of becoming at the mercy of our thoughts, we can see that these are just thoughts, and we can agree with them or disagree with them. And they only have as much power over us as we give to them through that inner agreement. So, as simple as mindfulness practice may seem, it really is the difference between whether we are experiencing life with freedom and peace or with suffering and feeling like we're trapped. Because it all comes down to our mind and whether we are lost in our thinking and our moods and emotions and all of this inner stuff going on, or whether we are awake and aware of our present moment experience, actually feeling connected and in touch with the present moment. And mindfulness is kind of like a seed. In order for it to grow, to be healthy, to stay strong, it needs to be watered daily. If we stop watering it, then it starts to grow weaker and eventually it may die out. And I think this is really the perfect analogy for anything that we want to cultivate in our lives, but especially mindfulness practice, because the conditioned pattern of our thinking is so strong. All of our mental patterns and habits are so strong, they can pull us into these habitual ways of thinking so quickly without our recognition of it. We just get carried away by our thinking. So it requires a constant practice of recognizing when we've been lost in thought, bringing our attention back to the present moment, whether that's by coming back to our bodies, coming back to our breath, to our sensory experience, to just our awareness. But we need some tools and some practice to come back to ourselves, to take our attention away from the restless thinking, bring it back to ourselves, and to learn how to stay here, to learn how to stay at peace within ourselves, to stay at peace in the present moment without constantly getting carried away by the circumstances that we find ourselves in. So this whole series is going to be focused on offering practices that can help us to stay centered, to have inner peace, to have inner spaciousness, to not be so reactive or fearful towards our experience, but to have an inner resource of peace that we can turn to, that we can draw from anytime that we need to. So the first practice that we're going to do together is one of the most foundational practices, and it's usually one of the first mindfulness practices that's shared, but this does not take away from the value of it. It's actually one that you can turn to again and again throughout any practices that you learn. This is one of the most essential. And this is simply mindfulness of breathing. So our breath can be a powerful tool to help us stay centered in the present moment, to return our attention to the present moment, and to help us stay centered here in the present moment without getting carried away by our thinking. So the practice is simple. Essentially, we are practicing keeping our attention on our breathing. And we can do this in both a context of a formal practice, something you can make time for each day just to practice this, which I recommend doing, but you can also bring this into any experience that you're having. And of course, it will be stronger if you take that time to just focus on this practice. But no matter what you're doing in your life, if you're driving your car, if you're washing the dishes, if you're in a conversation with somebody, if you're waiting in line, whatever you're doing, you can still function in the world, but turn some of your attention within yourself and keep it with your breathing. And our breath and our state of mind are very connected. So when we are feeling anxious, feeling stressed, feeling fearful or excited or in a hurry, our breathing is really shallow, and we tend to breathe into this upper chest area. And vice versa, if you just focus on breathing in this upper chest area, it starts to make you feel a little bit more anxious and excitable and kind of restless. Now, on the other side of this equation, if we are calm, if we're relaxed, if we're peaceful and present, usually our breath then is very deep and slow and relaxed, and we tend to breathe more into our abdomen area, our lower belly area, instead of the upper chest. And so basically, the rate of our breath is directly tied to the state of our mind. And if we can intentionally take calm, relaxed, mindful breaths, we can really bring down any excitable energy, whether it's nervousness or fear or just being overly excited. We can breathe in and breathe out and allow that energy to slow, to settle. And it really doesn't take much, just a few deep breaths like that, for us to come back to ourselves, calm our energy, calm our minds, and to start to have a more clear awareness and perception of the present moment. So let's practice this together here now in this moment. Since you're watching this video, your attention is here with me now. Let's practice this mindfulness of breathing. So find some kind of comfortable position. You don't really have to move from where you are. Just allow yourself to sit up straight so that your spine is straight, but your body is nice and relaxed. And we'll just practice taking a few deep breaths together. So I recommend closing your eyes just to turn your attention inward. And begin by just taking a deep breath in. So inhaling through your nose and exhaling out your mouth. So these first few ones will be exaggerated just to put some more emphasis on the relaxation. So again, take a deep breath in through your nose. And with a sigh, just letting go, exhale through your mouth. And hopefully you can feel the release that comes with that. So letting go of any tension that you may be holding in your face, in your mouth, in your hands, your jaw, your shoulders, just letting all of that go, relaxing, softening. So let's take another deep breath in. And deep breath out, just letting go. Now, let's come back to our normal breathing. So just being aware of your breath, not necessarily forcing it to be deeper or slower, but just noticing it and allowing it to naturally slow down and become more relaxed. So there are a few different places you can pay attention. You can pay attention to the sensation of breath in your belly. You can pay attention to the sensation of breath in your chest. You can pay attention to the sensation of breath as it flows into your nostrils and out of your nostrils or out of your mouth. Whichever it is, pick a place to focus your attention. For me personally, I like to focus it on my nostrils, feeling the sensation of air as it flows in and as it flows out. And we'll just spend a few seconds here in silence together, just paying attention to our breathing. So bring your full awareness in this moment to your breath. For just this moment, don't think about whatever you have to do after this, whatever you were doing before this, or anything other than just keeping your attention on your breath. If you can really bring your full awareness to the sensation of breathing, it frees you from any other mental disturbance, at least for the time being. So in this moment now, just pay attention to your breath as it comes into your nose and out of your nose. It doesn't take long for the mind to start demanding we pay attention to it. Thoughts come in, we get distracted, our attention wanders, and this happens to all of us. It's just the nature of our minds to think. But in this practice, notice whenever you can when your attention has been distracted, when you've been carried away by your thinking, and as soon as you notice that, as soon as you notice you've been distracted, just bring your attention back to your breathing and do so as kindly and as effortlessly as possible. So there's no need to get hung up on the fact that you got distracted or to get frustrated with yourself for getting distracted. It's completely natural. But we're training our minds here. We're training in learning how to stay with our breath. And it's a practice. And with any practice, it takes time. So stay with your breath for a few more seconds, just being here with your breathing. Nothing more. Simply just being aware of your breath. And as your mind wanders, as it inevitably will, just try to notice it as soon as you can and kindly, gently redirect your attention back to your breathing. And practice just staying here. Really deepen into your breath. Pay more attention to it without strain, without excess effort, but just witnessing it, having a sense of interest in it and curiosity. When we're genuinely interested in something, we don't have to force ourselves to pay attention. So have interest in this breath. See your breath as if it were the first time you were ever really paying attention to it. This miracle of life, this life force that animates us with every inhalation and every exhalation. Just watching it, just being with it, feeling it as it enters your body and as it flows back out of your body. So for the next few seconds, we're just going to practice staying here with our breath. let's take a deep breath in. Breathing in, breathing out, letting go. Let's do 2 more of those together. Taking a deep breath in, and a deep breath out, letting go. And one more time, deep breath in, as deep as you can. And just full exhalation. So hopefully you practice that with me, and we're able to feel some of the benefit of just taking some time to pay attention to your breath. If you really participate in that practice, you can notice that it doesn't take long for our energy to really start to calm down. Just a few breaths, I notice for me, and immediately almost my mind is removed from things I'm thinking about, problems that I have, things I have to take care of or accomplish. All of that kind of dissolves for the time being, and I slow down and I come back to just breathing, just being here with my breath. And that moment of spaciousness and peace and stillness for me is incredibly restorative. It's like taking a moment to just recharge my battery, re-find my center, and then from this centered place, I can then re-engage with the world, with my life, with my responsibilities, and the practice then becomes staying with that breath, even while I do my daily tasks. And of course, I'm not able to stay with the breath consistently all the time, but the more that I practice this and the more I'm able to stay with my breath, the more present I am for my life, the more connected I feel with my life, with other people, the more I'm able to just be with the thing that I'm doing and just do that one thing instead of being multitasking or kind of acting on autopilot like so many of us do. We have our body doing one thing, but our mind is somewhere else. We're washing the dishes, but we're thinking about the next thing that we have to do, or, that thing that we saw on TV earlier, or whatever it may be, whatever is on our minds. We're not here with what we're doing. And the breath is really a powerful tool that can help us and train us to be here with what we're doing. So my invitation for you for this week is to practice using your breath as a tool to help you be more aware and more present in your life. So this can look like taking a few minutes each day to just sit in stillness, to be with your breath as we just were. And it can be a few times in the day. I like to, whenever I have like a minute or two, just have a little minute or two meditation. So doing that throughout my day, short sessions of meditation, helps me to just stay with that practice. It keeps it in the forefront of my awareness so that I'm reminded throughout the day to stay with my breath. So it can look like a formal practice like that, as well as just carrying this awareness into every activity that you do. So when you finish this video, the next thing that you do, try to do it with mindfulness. Try to have a little bit of your attention here with your breath as you engage with whatever it is that you engage with. And really, I think this is a foundational practice. That's why I wanted to make it the first practice, because it just trains us to start to cultivate some peace within our breathing. Because as I mentioned, our breath is very connected to our state of mind. So if we can train ourselves to intentionally breathe calmly and relaxed, and we stay within that calm, relaxed breath, no matter what's going on outside of us, whether it's chaotic circumstances or a lot of stimulus or something stressful, whatever it may be, if we stay with our breath, and we stay with just this relaxed, calm, peaceful breathing, we can stay calm, relaxed, and at peace despite what's going on around us. And not only does that prevent circumstances from stressing us out, but it also makes us more capable of handling whatever situation we find ourselves in, and also being a source of peace for others in a stressful circumstance. Because if we can carry ourselves with that peace within us, then we can be a pillar for other people. We are so impressionable as humans. When we look to someone else, we're influenced by what we see, by how that person's energy is. So if a bunch of stressful, uncertain, anxious people in some kind of situation look and see you at peace, at ease, carrying yourself, feeling centered, it immediately starts to calm them down. And so, in this way, by practicing mindfulness of breath, you cultivate peace within yourself, you become more capable of handling life situations, and you become a pillar of peace for other people. So, a lot of benefits to this practice. So, this is the first practice of this series, and my invitation is for you to practice this week. And please let me know how your practice goes. Let me know in the comments what your experience is like, what you find beneficial, what you may find challenging. I would love to hear your feedback from your experience with this practice. So, thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I really, truly hope that this practice benefits you and helps you find peace within yourself.